The Dixie standards are coming thick and fast now. Here's the Bridge City Jazzmen's version of another favorite, Jada.
Hey, all you night owls and believers out there. You're listening to 107.5 The Dark Hour. As always, I'm your host, James Blackbone, coming at you with another late-night chapter of the latest twisted and creepy news. The only late-night radio talk show in the greater Magic Falls area. If you've listened in before, then you know what I'm all about. But if you are new to the show, well then, welcome. For those of you that are new to the show, I'm an independent journalist who talks about things that most people are too afraid to bring to the forefront. My goal is to shed light on the darkness and expose the monsters that live among us. I research and bring you the latest news and stories of the strange, dark, and mysterious. The news that they don't want you to hear. After that, we'll open up the phone lines and get some thoughts and perhaps a good story from one of our listeners. Let's get right into the news, shall we? First up tonight, we have a story out of Wyoming. There have been reports of strange lights in the sky near the small town of Pine River. Residents have reported that these lights have been hovering at the base of the mountain near town for the past several days. They've reported that the lights are in some sort of triangular pattern and that they move from side to side slowly and without any sound at all. The residents say that they feel like whatever it is, that they get the strange sensation that it's watching the small town. I did get a chance to speak with the local sheriff of Pine River, and he said that he's contacted outside agencies for aid, but was mostly met with laughter and ridicule. He was told that even if they wanted to send someone out that way, it would be at least a few weeks due to the impossible roads caused by the recent snowstorms. The sheriff sounded quite worried about a small town, as he said that a few of the residents have not been heard from or seen in a few days. Some folks even reported hearing screams coming from the area where the bright lights are being seen. One witness in the strange incident reported seeing a man in a black suit hiding in the shadows at night. The woman said it appeared that he seemed to be spying on the townsfolk, possibly gathering information. Now, I did some deep digging and I found out that back in the late 1950s, the government had a temporary base set up in that area. Besides the town, there isn't anything for hundreds of miles. Seems like a perfect place to do all kinds of crazy experiments that we all know the government has been doing for years. There's no record of what they were doing there, but we can all be sure that they were up to no good. The story is that in the dead of night, they suddenly picked up the base and vanished without a trace. It was as if they had never even been there at all. That may very well be related to what's going on in the town today. I hope authorities take the sheriff more seriously and soon. If these extraterrestrials are hostile, which is what I think they are, then the town could be in grave danger. I must say that it really gets under my skin when good, honest people are treated like a joke just because they aren't afraid to speak up. The authorities can go ahead and laugh, but when the aliens attack, or the zombie virus breaks out, who's going to be ready? That's right, believers, we are. You know why? Because when we see lights in the sky, we want to know what it is and what it wants. We don't just go back to whatever menial task we were doing and pretend it never happened. We strive for answers, and when we speak up, we get called crazy. No matter what anyone tells you, you're not crazy. That's just what they want you to think. We can only hope that the small mountain town gets the help that it rightfully deserves. Good luck, Pine River. Our thoughts are with you. Next on the agenda tonight is a terrifying story out of Massachusetts. I got a call from a terrified woman who says that vampire-like creatures are lurking around her hometown. She declined a recorded interview, but she gave me all the frightening and gory details of her encounter. She explained to me that she and her husband were recently out late night celebrating their anniversary at a popular local club. When the night was at its end, they decided that since the house was fairly close and they'd both been drinking, they'd just walk home. As they were walking down a quiet street, a black sedan pulled up quickly. Three young men stepped out of the car and grabbed both of them, forcing them into the back seat. Her husband fought back but was punched repeatedly in his head. They were both blindfolded and driven out to a secluded area of the woods. Once the vehicle stopped, the pair were then carried into a small abandoned house and tied up to chairs. The assailants then removed the blindfolds, revealing their face. She told me that they looked very much human. That is, until they transformed right in front of them. She described them as having long, razor-sharp fangs that protruded from the gums, bloodshot eyes, and long, sharp fingernails that were about 5 inches in length. The kidnappers wore normal clothes, as any other person would wear, and they all seemed to look to be in their early 20s. However, the victim told me that one of her assailants said that she reminded him of a young girl that he had slaughtered in the early 19th century. She then went on to tell me that every few hours for days, that they would take turns feeding on each of them. The creatures would bite down on her wrists with those dreadful fangs and suck the blood straight from her veins. They both became weaker and weaker by the hour. After a couple of days, the man or beast who appeared to be the leader of the gang said to, quote, bleed them dry. His lackeys then proceeded to decapitate her husband using a rusted machete. They then hung him upside down while his blood was drained into a large bucket. The bucket was covered, and the leader told one of them to put it where it wouldn't go bad. Kind of like how you would, put your leftovers into a plastic container and store it in the fridge. The sun was on the horizon, and the leader whispered to her that they would get to her when night fell. She knew it was only a matter of time before she would meet the same fate as her husband. What she told me next was nothing short of a miracle. That day, while the creatures hid from the sun, a man dressed in all black, wearing a trench coat, emerged from one of the house's rooms. He was covered in blood, holding a massive knife. He told her that she was safe now, and that he was there to help her. After untying her, the man didn't say a word. He pulled out a syringe with an extremely large needle. Before she could tell him that she was terrified of needles, he ran it straight into her heart. She doesn't remember anything after that. Hours later, she woke up in the hospital. The police were alerted and came directly to her room. She told authorities the whole story. Well, almost the whole story. That they were abducted by 4 men and brought to an abandoned house, where there were also 2 women waiting. The men and women took turns torturing them, in quotes, eventually killing her husband before the mysterious man came and saved her life. She told me that she left out the part about the vampires to avoid being locked in the loony bin. I can't say I blame her. The poor woman has suffered unimaginable horrors. She can't even tell her story without the fear of repercussions. I'm just glad she entrusted me with the real story. Wherever you are, miss, I hope you're doing well. The last bit of news we have for tonight is more of a warning for all you weary travelers out there. Somewhere along Interstate 84 between Utah and Idaho, there's been a plethora of drivers who have completely vanished, starting about 2 months ago. There have been reports of missing drivers along that stretch of highway, and since then the number is now up to 41 in total. If you happen to be traveling on I-84, be sure to keep your eyes peeled and be safe. So far, authorities have no leads on missing drivers. Luckily for us, there is some literature out there about the situation. Through sources close to me, I was able to get my hands on those police reports. Some drivers reported feeling an incredibly strange sensation while driving down I-84. They described it as if time came to a complete standstill. Minutes later, they came upon what appeared to be a small cafe or bar. I was able to get the phone number of one of the witnesses that decided to just keep on driving. And just minutes after passing the building, she told me that she went through the same experience again. She brought the authorities out to the site, but There was no trace of any kind of establishment. Sadly, that conversation was very short and she declined a full interview, telling me to kindly go screw myself. Oh, I hope she's doing well. Sounds like something very unusual is happening out there. I might have to make that trip myself, maybe see it firsthand. But after looking into the matter, I have determined that I believe people are being abducted by, well, a jinn. The jinn is a powerful genie from lore in the Middle East that are capable of using magic to bend and twist time and space. If one of these godlike creatures were so inclined, they could wreak havoc however they want. No mortal man with modern weapons could do a thing to stop them. Stay as far away as you can. And be safe out there, my fellow believers. Well, that's going to do it for Strange, Dark, and Mysterious News. We have just enough time to open up the phone lines. Looks like we already have a caller on the line. All he said was his name was Mr. Thanatos. Am I pronouncing that right, sir? You're on the air with The Dark Hour.
Yes, that's exactly right. Can't tell you how happy I am to be on your show. I'm a huge fan.
Well, that's great to hear. We always appreciate our fans. Any dark stories for us tonight, my friend?
Do you consider murder to be dark, Mr. Blackbone?
Well, yes, I suppose I would consider murder to be somewhat of a dark topic. Did you murder someone? Mr. What was it? Thanatos?
Oh, heavens no. You see, I'm merely but a writer on the act of murder. However, the topic can be a little too rich for some people's blood, you know what I mean?
Yes, Mr. Thanatos, I believe I do. May I ask what exactly you are calling about tonight?
Well, you see, I've listened to your show for quite some time now. I spend a lot of my time writing in my office, and I do love listening to your late-night talks on the dark and mysterious. Nothing like hearing about all the crazy shit that happens in the dark. Am I right?
Sorry, Mr. Thanatos, but we do try to avoid vulgar language on the show.
I do apologize, James. I'm just so excited to be talking to you. I'll get right to the point. I was hoping that maybe we could help each other.
Help each other? How do you propose we do that, Mr. Thanatos?
Well, seeing as how we are both in the business of the twisted and dark genre, I was hoping we could interview each other sometime. Heck, my office is right here in the Magic Falls area. I'm writing a new book, you see. With your experience and all the strange, dark, and mysterious, I figured you'd be just the man to help me make this my best book yet. I could also answer some of your questions and give your listeners some real insight into the true nature of murder. Not from personal experience, of course, but through all my research.
Well, that's a very interesting proposition, Mr. Thanatos. I do believe my listeners might love to hear about your research.
Do you like guns, James? I have this gold-plated Winchester rifle mounted in my office. I love telling all my visitors about its rich history.
I don't mind guns, and I like good stories even more. You know what, sir? I do believe I could probably set something up. I'd love to be part of your upcoming book. I think our listeners would love to hear from a writer working on some dark material such as yourself. Hand the line in. We'll hammer out all the details. Well, all you night owls and believers out there, looks like we're going to have some pretty interesting shows coming your way soon, so look forward to that. Well, I think that'll just about do it for our show tonight. Remember to stay safe out there and be kind to each other. Thanks for tuning in to the show on this darkest of nights. As always, I'm your host, James Blackbone, and we'll see you here next time on The Dark Hour.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Dark and Twisted Tales. This week's episode, You're on the Air was written and produced by William Bowser. If you'd like to hear more dark and twisted tales, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, and good night.